All right, let's try this again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome back again to JJ's PC Builds. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and hit that notification so that way you know when I post the next video. I know it's been like a couple days, but I've been doing a little bit of exploration. Also, too, I've been working on that room that I was telling you guys about, and I am going to make a video on that room once I got it fully completed. It is fully completed, but it's in my mind I think I'm missing something, so that'll be for another video. But today's video is about 23H2 from Windows 11 from Microsoft. I will tell you this is something I was dreading to do on my main PC, and I know I told you guys that you should wait it all the way down to 3 to 6 months before you upgrade, but I didn't have much of a choice when it came to this. Basically, when I started up my PC, it basically just put me into the auto update for Windows 11. I couldn't stop it, and I was like, oh my god, here we go. But the good point of this is that when it got to my desktop, nothing changed. And I was shaking my head and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Okay, well, let's go ahead and just go to the action screen. I'll show you what I got cooking right here. See, now, here at the bottom, let's go to mouse settings and let's go to mouse pointer size and kind of get you guys up to date here. Okay, so down here, nothing's changed except for, well, actually, really, nothing really has changed. I mean, everything's in the same position. That's what shocked me. Okay, so let me put that up there so it doesn't drive you crazy. But we're on my main desktop, okay? The only thing that I noticed, and you can always look to see if there's like options you can clear. I got to figure this out, why OneDrive is enabling, but we'll figure that out in time. But coming down to here, looking at everything that I got going on, I looked at all my drives. All my drives are normal. Nothing's changed. Except for up here, I don't mind this. This right here, this I don't mind. I mean, it's a little bit cleaner than the Windows 10 because it's had like everything in front of you. But here, I mean, I don't see a big deal with this. Okay, the Windows Explorer doesn't seem to be a big deal. I don't see a big deal there. And yes, this is the same screensaver I had on Windows 10. I mean, not screensaver, wallpaper background. And don't forget to have your drink and snacks, by the way. From what I'm looking at, here, let me move myself up a little bit and make myself a little bit bigger. What I'm looking at is that the only thing that added on was Copilot, and all my stuff on my taskbar is here. Ooh, I'm gonna drop that cap, but that doesn't matter. Going here, this changed a little bit, like I was showing you guys on 24H2. 23H2, it looks like the same way. It doesn't look like Windows 10, but that's okay. At least I don't have it like this. This right here is like on the search. I don't mind it being on the search. All this nonsense right here, I don't mind it being on the search because I only use that rarely. So as long as it's not on my start button, with my apps, I don't mind. I mean, I don't mind this right here neither. I mean, that means I could take off the Microsoft Store from my taskbar. That means I could take off a lot of stuff from my taskbar because it's right here. I don't mind it. I mean, one day I'll take and show you guys how to convert this to where you can get all your taskbar items right here. If you just want to keep it on one button, like your start button, and then hit it right here, and then, go for all your tasks, you can do that too. I could show you how to take all these off at the same time. They have a one-click button, if I remember right. Let's see. Show more options. I have to remember where it's at. I think it's on the taskbar. The taskbar options. So, I mean, I know you guys can't see nothing in the taskbar. That's because I got my face right there. So, let's go ahead and just minimize my face a little bit and move myself around. Okay, so now you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, now if I don't want Copilot on there, Copilot's gone. I turned off the widgets. Don't need that on. Task view, I turned it off. The search box, I mean, you can go icon only, but I got two screens. Okay, so this is basically two screens. And that's the tricky part about it, but other system tray icons, I got everything just pretty much the way I want it. You can turn off your icons if you don't want them on. I got mine on for my temperatures and stuff like that. I don't mind it. Taskbar behaviors. I mean, you can pretty much do whatever you want. You can show the seconds in the tray. That's pretty cool. Select far corner of the taskbar to show desktop. I mean, I could do that if I wanted to. So, if I want to select desktops, but, I don't need to have that on. Show flashing taskbar apps. I can leave that alone. Stuff like that. I'm showing you guys because basically 24H2 is no different than 23H2. To me, I mean, I haven't seen anything really different between the two, but the tricky part is this. When I went to the Windows update for Windows 10, I did, and I'm going to tell you guys. Let's turn that off. Okay. From Windows 10 to Windows 11, I did it through the updates. I was skeptical that it was going to work because I hear all the horror stories and everything else, but I did it through, believe it or not, I did it through the Windows update. And it actually kept all my icons and everything right where I wanted them. So if I go from Windows 10 to Windows 11, all my software stayed right where it was. And also, too, all my software worked fine. So, yeah, I've been testing on it since yesterday to test all my software to make sure it's working and everything else. And so far, the only difference that I see going from Windows 10 to Windows 11 is performance. I tested this on Steam. I tested this on Steam a little bit to see what my games are going to be like. It didn't lose that much of a percentage, like 1 to 3%. But losing that 1 to 3%, it went from using 30% utilization of the CPU down to 15% utilization of the CPU. So it actually lowered the amount of usage on the CPU, but the GPU, it kind of increased it by 15% utilization on the GPU. So basically it did a twist in the balance a little bit. So it kind of fine-tuned, balanced it a little bit better. So if I'm only using 15% on the CPU and I'm using 100% on the GPU, that's telling me the balance has shifted a little bit. So that 1 to 3%, I'm really not going to see it that much when it comes to the FPS. Maybe like it dropped like maybe 5 or 10 FPS, but it still gives me a great amount of FPS. I mean, I'm still going from a range, I would say, above 60 FPS and up. So, to be honest with you, that's good enough for me. And if I go to push things, and maximize it and everything else, but I'm not pushing the processor, so the CPU processor, because it's still undervolted. When I upgraded from Windows 10 to Windows 11, I left the bias the same. I have not changed nothing in the bias yet. I might have to change the PBO curve from negative 20 to negative maybe 15, I would say. Maybe a little bit more advancement with a little bit more power advancement with the CPU might bring it up a little bit, but I have a feeling it's going to bring the temperature up a little bit higher. So it's already increased the temperature by 1 to 2 degrees. So I think the bias is set, and I'm just going to leave it alone, and I'm going to run with the way this is right now. Because if I'm running it the way I did the last time, when I did the testing on Steam, you know, I keep forgetting the name. That's the problem. But what we'll do is we'll just take and we'll run Furmark, and I'll show you right on Furmark. But I'm up to date with Windows 11. So the transition, going from the transition of Windows 10 to Windows 11 through Windows Update, I didn't see any problem whatsoever, except for it took a little bit longer than usual to update from Windows 10 to Windows 11. But at least the way my icons were on the desktop on Windows 10, that's the way it is on Windows 11. It copied whatever's on 10 to 11, and the only difference is in the Windows Explorer, you know, the way the icons are in Windows Explorer, and the search, but that's pretty much, that's pretty much it. Oh, and everybody's wondering, well, you know, I had a control panel button right here too. That hasn't changed. It's still here. The control panel button I put on my desktop from Windows 10, it's still here. It hasn't changed. And I checked all my icons on the desktop, and they all are functioning and they all work. So going from Windows 10 Windows 10 doing the update to Windows 11 actually was a better thing than starting it off fresh, I think. So, if you're wondering, going from Windows 10 to Windows 11 through the updates, if it's going to cause any problems, 50-50 chance, depending on how you have your if your system is running well and there's no hiccups whatsoever on Windows 10 and you go to update it to Windows 11, as long as you get your product key put in there, I would suggest Windows 10 Pro. I really do. Windows 10 Pro, then go up to Windows 11 Pro. I mean, as far as the way my system is right now, it is Windows 11 Pro right here. And I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's right there in the red. It's Windows 11 Pro. It's 23H2, and it was updated yesterday. It was installed yesterday. So this is my actual, with you guys, the first day being on Windows 11 23H2. Other than Windows 24H2, which I have a video on that. You can go check it out in my videos. But from what I see between the 23H2 and the 24H2, truthfully, nothing. Truthfully, nothing. You know, I mean, as long as you got an OEM key, or a retail key, or a professional, Windows. If you got a Windows 10 Pro key that's on your system, and you go to Windows 11, I don't see any problem. Now, unsupported hardware, that's going to be a little bit of an issue. Okay, now, going from Windows 10 to Windows 11, I would suggest, I know a lot of people are going to be like naysaying about this, but, if you want an easier transition, have a system to where it's designed to go up to Windows 11 Home or 11 Pro. I mean, it's not difficult, and the price is minimal to none. I mean, if you look at it this way, if you want to go from Windows 10 to Windows 11 with no hiccups, I mean, you can do it very simply by getting, if you want to do AM4, you can get a B550 motherboard or a B450 motherboard, believe it or not. A B450 motherboard or a B550 motherboard that supports Windows 11. I got a B550 motherboard and I got a B450 motherboard, and they both support Windows 11. And the processor, you can do a 5600X, you can do a 5600G, you can do, if you want to keep it a low budget system, let's say you just want to do it for office work and stuff like that, get one with the 5600G, 32 gigs of RAM, 600 watt, future proof your PC, get a 750 watt power supply, and just set it all up and, get a Windows 10 Pro key, put Windows 10 Pro in, and you can go, and Microsoft will do it through the updates, Windows 11, so you can go automatically to Windows 11 Pro after you get your stuff set up the way you want it on Windows 10. It carries along everything that you've done on Windows 10. I don't see where it said it takes away stuff. I don't see where it took away anything from my Windows 10 to my Windows 11. And I'm just being honest with you about this. I don't see it at all. I mean, I really don't. Pretty much everything is everything from what I've seen. And I'm recording on Windows 11 Pro to you guys. And my recording looks exactly the same as Windows 10. That's pretty much what I don't get. All these horror stories that everybody was saying, because of this, because of this, because of this, because of this, I don't see the justification of that. Okay, the only thing that I seen the justification is the matter of the fact of the 1 to 3% loss. But that could be somewhere in my settings of Windows 11 too. I haven't fine-tuned it yet. I fine-tuned Windows 10, but I haven't fine-tuned Windows 11, and that's probably where my little bit of loss is. So basically, I can probably increase my losses to a gain and get a couple more percent out of the system. So, I mean, performance-wise, the system looks like it's running just the way I would have expected it to run. But as far as everything that I see, I mean, let's look at this. I mean, this right here is Task Manager. Okay, we're looking at the CPU. I mean, CPU sitting idle. I know it's at like 5% sitting idle. But the 5% is because I'm recording as well. So, but L3 cache is correct. I mean, everything that, it's got 8 core, 16 threads. My memory hasn't changed. It's still 64 gigs of RAM. We're still at 64 gigs. My hard drives, my solid state drive and my hard drives, they're fine. My hard drive's at 0%. My first solid state's at, disk one's at 0%. And my C drive is teetering between 0 and 9%. Sometimes it goes up a little bit because of the Ethernet. And the GPU's sitting at 21%. So, I mean, nothing's changed on the GPU. I mean, it's still an RTX 4070, as y'all can see. I checked the drivers. The drivers are all good. Always when you go to do your updates, always do your diligence and make sure you go through your drivers. And I mean, this is 552.22. you know, I can reinstall them if I want to, but I don't feel the need that I need to reinstall anything. So this is without doing any driver up, driver updates or anything else. I didn't have to do any of that because I've already done it in the beginning. So if you're wondering, going from Windows 10 to Windows 11 is a very good transition. I'll explain to you why. Because before, Microsoft had you going from 22H2 to 23H2. But this time, when I did the transition, I went from Windows 10 to Windows 11 23H2, and it skipped all that other stuff and just brought me right to the 23H2. So that brought me right there up to date. So I don't have all that extra software I had to download, to mess with to get 23H2 to work. Like I did on the 8th gen Livono that I have over there. That I had to go through the 22H2 to 23H2 up to 24H2. So I had to jump 3. But with my main PC right now, I only had to go from Windows 10 to 23H2. So I skipped all the updates and everything for 22H2. Just went right to 23H2. And that's what impressed me even more. I mean, I looked through my device manager, all the drivers are up to date. And it doesn't really surprise me that much, is because when you use supported hardware, what happens is that the manufacturers mix Windows 10 and Windows 11 drivers together. And I noticed that with NVIDIA. They mixed Windows 10 and Windows 11 drivers together. So basically, if you go from Windows 10 to Windows 11, there's no driver updates. Is because it's already been updated and the drivers are already installed for Windows 11. And I had to go through a little bit of this. Every piece of hardware that I have software on is structured the same way. So that's the key trick to it. So if your software goes from Windows 10 / Windows 11, and they state this, then you're going to have no problem with the transitioning going from 10 to 11. I am seriously very impressed with going from Windows 10 to Windows 11. I thought there was going to be a problem. But as long as you're logged into your Microsoft account before you start this transition, you should be okay. I stayed logged into mine going through the whole transition. My Chrome, Google Chrome, all my internet browsers are still logged in. I don't have a problem there. I checked all that. I was seriously impressed going from Windows 10 to Windows 11. I know there's some things that are running in the background and stuff like that, but just to do the transition alone, everybody thinks it's scary. Yeah, I could have lost a lot. I mean, I could have lost all my videos and everything else, because I got 2 other drives that are connected. I could have lost a lot. But I took the risk, and not take the risk, because Microsoft Windows kind of had me in a pickle. So it turned out to be a bad thing, but then it turned out to be a good thing. So now I'm updated to Windows 11. So my hand was kind of forced to go from Windows 10 to Windows 11. But I'm on Windows 11 now. There's not much more I can do about it. So I'm not going to take and revert my PC back to Windows 10. It makes no sense to do it. Especially, I don't want to lose all my software and everything else. It makes no sense to do it. Really don't. So it looks like Windows 11's here to stay. on my PC, and now I can do some fresh new testing with Windows 11 in future videos. So do stick around for those. But that's my 30-minute rant about going from Windows 10 to Windows 11, just to let you know. There'll be more to come, so do stick around for that. I got a lot of more videos to come for Windows 11. But if this is your first time here, subscribe and make sure you put a like on the video, and also too hit that notification bell so you know when I post the next video. Now, understand this, with the likes, if you put a like on the video, and the more likes I get on the video, positive likes, YouTube will expand my videos out more and more and more. So this way we can get more subscribers and we can grow and we can get to the 500 mark. It's so close, everybody. 500. That's the birthday of them all. Let's see if we can get to the 500 within this week. I'm sure we can. But until the next time in the next video, we'll see you on the next one.